I know you're excited, but we're going to hold back on that for a minute and talk about the coronavirus. I know that there are those among us who feel that this is a storm in a teacup and nothing much will come of it, and we should just be meeting to the bitter end. And, you know, that kind of approach. And there are others, perhaps not amongst us, for obvious reasons, who feel more strongly that we need to take a very cautious approach. I am, as always, somewhere in the middle. And what I want to say, you know, I'm not going to speak about the medical side of things. There are those doctors who are far more qualified and educated than I have said are high-risk groups, and if you are part of that high-risk group, you should be aware of the risks. I've spoken to a few this morning who aren't too bothered, and that's fine. You're adults and you can make your own decisions. What I would say, though, is this. We have to, as a church, strike a balance. On the one hand, we don't want to be irresponsible, go against guidance being given by the government and by medical bodies, and create a problem that is associated with this body of believers, and we give a bad reputation for the sake of the gospel. So we need to be responsible. In the same way that just because we believe in a sovereign God doesn't mean that we put the foot on the accelerator and hit 120 on the freeway. At the same point, there is a need for responsibility and caution, even when we passionately believe in a sovereign God. That said, the California governor has banned meetings of over 250, and I don't think we get 250 in this building if we tried. Possibly, we squidge a few people in an extra chair, who knows. But anyway, the city of LA has recently tried to limit meetings of 50 or over. I counted 48 as I came up this morning, so we're just sneaking under that. But we're not in the city of LA, we're in the county of LA, and that doesn't apply to us. So we're allowed to be open, and I felt, and the deacons agreed, that it was appropriate for us to be open. If you feel that you're high risk, you shouldn't be here. If you have symptoms, then for crying out loud, don't be here. Go home and self-quarantine. Let's not look at everybody who does the occasional cough as if they're a leper. No bringing bells to church. But at the same point, the fact that we can be open means that there is an opportunity. And for those who do feel that they want to be with the saints on a Sunday rather than watching a video screen, then we provide that option. And I'm also conscious that we are entering a period of time when there is a far greater amount of fear among the general population, and that many of those people as such may be thinking about the things of God more than they normally do. And therefore, if we can be open, I believe to some degree we have a responsibility to be so. So, I will simply say this. You are responsible for yourselves and your families, and you are required to know the risks involved. And if you choose to be here and we're allowed to be open, we will be open and we'll welcome you. And if you choose not to be here and you need assistance from home, then contact us and we will endeavor to do that. But whatever we believe, I hope there are a few things that we can agree on. Firstly, we are not a people like any other people. We do not fear what they fear, because we believe in a sovereign, glorified Christ who created the heavens and the earth, and that he has bought our souls with his blood, and he looks after us and he protects us. That does not mean that we will not get sick. It does not mean that we won't die. It means that we trust him and we trust his sovereign hand from the cradle to the grave. And if you take a more cautious approach, and if you take a less cautious approach, you nonetheless have the opportunity to show the world that you are different by the way that you are in the midst of your caution or lack thereof. In other words, if you are not particularly cautious for yourself, you can still show love to your neighbor who may well be cautious. You might think it's all a storm in a teacup and it will blow over, but at the same time, you need to understand there are those who are genuinely fearful, who you can love by not being blasé about their sincere fears. And if you are particularly cautious, then even in the midst of that, you can still show that though you think this might be a very serious thing, that you believe even more strongly that God is on the throne and that all things will work together for your good because he loves you and cares for you. So there are opportunities in the midst of this crisis for us as believers to witness, to share the gospel, and to testify to our faith in Christ. I encourage you, if you're regulars here, we've still got some of our famous Isaiah flyers. We say it in English because it rhymes better. Our Isaiah flyers at the back, advertising our church and its services. Why not make sure this week that you have one in your back pocket, in your purse, in your bag, in the inside of your jacket or whatever you're wearing, so that if God opens a door for you to be able to share the reason that you do not fear, the reason that you have this hope that cannot be taken away from you, then you also have an opportunity to share the gospel and to invite someone to come to church to hear the gospel again. This is, I believe, an opportunity for us all. And I hope that the other thing that we can agree on is that while we may vociferously disagree on the severity of the coronavirus, on the role of modern medicine and vaccines, and even on politics, that we are biblically supposed to be of the same mind. That doesn't mean that we agree on these things. We often disagree strongly on such matters. What it means is this, and I was so happy with David mentioning it in the prayer this morning. The context of Philippians 2 and having the same mind is to have the mind of Christ, and that mind in context is to be humble and to think more highly of others than ourselves. What a fantastic opportunity for us to do this. If people do get sick en masse, let's express love to them, let's serve them, let's do all we can for those who are suffering. Let's do what we can for those who are fearful. Let's do what we can for those who have no hope. What a wonderful opportunity. And so wherever we stand on the severity of this and the consequences of this, I hope we can all agree that we have the same mind, that others are more important than us. And we would use that realization as an opportunity to share the gospel. I hope we can agree at least on those things.